The first one I saw, which was the most up close and real, it was only maybe 100 yards away from us. I say us because once I pulled in the driveway with the keyboard player, I was the bossman at the time, and the keyboard player, Warren Keith, who ended up playing piano for Hank Williams Jr., he was driving his Cadillac. We pulled in at my folks' house to stop over and sleep until, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning when we got there. We were going to get up and go the rest of the way in the morning. So I go up, and I'm crawling through the window because we had an old farmhouse, and the skeleton keys were gone, and we just locked the screen door. And my mother would leave a sliding window unlocked. I'd slide it open, crawl through, and I'm about halfway in, halfway out, and I hear Warren give this war whoop out in the driveway, and I just bust my ass. I jump off the porch and run out there, and he dropped his satchel alongside of him, and he's just standing there looking off into the field across the street. And I ran past the shadow of the corner of the house because it was like a full moon lit night, and as soon as I broke into the moonlight, I looked over there, and here is this flying saucer. And I mean, this thing had to be 200 feet in diameter. It was huge. It was like a haze. It had some lights, little tiny lights twinkling around the middle of it, kind of like if the sun hits a woman's diamond, how it throws the facets, throw the colored light.
You could make out the solid shape of a disc.
Yes, and I dove through the window on my way back into the house, hollering to the top of my lungs, "Get out of bed! Get out!" And I ran in, and my mom and stepdad were like trying to, rub it off. What's going on? I said, "Get out on the porch out front now." And so all my brothers and sisters, my mom and stepdad, get out on the front porch, and here this thing is, still sitting there, not making a sound, not making a motion or anything, just, and it was almost like, dang, is this thing real? Is that being projected into the atmosphere? What is this, And we were all in awe, standing there, and I didn't think of, taking a picture or whatever. I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on here?
Yes, of course.
It's that close.
Of course.
And then we all looked at each other because we felt our guts start to quiver. I felt a low frequency, and I didn't realize what it was until it became audible. It was sub-hearing when first we felt it because it was shaking our bodies. And then as it became audible and raised in pitch, it went boom and got to a real high pitch and then just went shot right across the sky. I mean, faster than your imagination.
Now, that's a really close encounter. That's a really close encounter.
Oh, buddy.
Any effects from it? After effects other than shock?
Well, it caused a lot of questions.
I bet.
Like, where the hell did that come from? And who was in it? And I don't think it has any, varying effect on what I believe as far as the unconditional love of God. I just am, because that's my creator, and my mother's side, I'm Cherokee Indian, and in fact, I was given the Cherokee Medal of Honor last year, and it's the creator, and we refer to him within the Cherokee, the Cherokee Nation, and the creator created that. I don't know what for. I don't have the answers, but
do you think that what you saw was not of this earth? I'm sure that you've turned that over in your mind enough times.
Yes, I considered whether it was or wasn't, and in order for somebody to survive that kind of takeoff, I mean, I don't even know of a G-suit that would keep you from, just
turning into a pancake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that kind of an experience, if you think they're not of this earth, that would change a lot of things. Or actually, we go around about this all the time on this program. Spirituality and religion versus the possibility that what if we were put here by them?
And they're keeping track of us.
Yeah. That's one thought. Yes.
Yeah. That's it's all speculation, of course, but after seeing that, and well, let me tell you just one little addition to that, Art, because my cousin who lived in the neighboring town had a water business, sold water softeners, water distillers, water purifiers, and
sure.
He was into. I was out seeing him, and I was telling him this is the first time I'd ever told anybody about this, because my mother told us if we had ever said anything to anybody that she was going to kill us, because back then, in '68, of course, it was all the swamp gas and the weather balloons and all these things that people said were UFOs, and they came off as kooks in the paper, and she didn't want to be a kook or any of us to be labeled as kooks.
A lot of people understand that, believe me.
Yes. She said, just keep it to yourself. So anyways, I was out at my cousin's, and I'm telling him about this sighting. And as I'm telling him, the door to his office is open. His secretary walks around the corner. She's crying. She says, Mr. Hall, I don't mean to bother you, but can I come in here right now? And he's going, what's going on, Captain? Well, then she told the story, because she'd heard me telling my cousin, Don, and she actually lived a quarter mile down the crossroad, which was only a quarter mile away from where I was at, saw the same night, the same year, and when it took off, it went to the east, which would have been over the top of her house, and that's the way it took off. And then she asked me, what does this mean? Here this girl is, I'd never, shared this with anybody, and she just happens to be there and just happened to live a quarter of a mile,
What did you tell her? Do you recall?
Well, I told her, because she was crying, she was just losing it, and she thought, it had something to do with God, and I just calmed her down. I said, I don't think it has anything to do with, or supposed to. She says, well, what is this supposed to mean? What do we do with it? I said, sit on. I don't know. You don't try to, manufacture something within yourself. Let's just go on what is, and what is the next thing that happens, in the next second.
A million things could run through your head. Seeing something as close as you did, you could think we were being invaded. You could think a million different things could go through your mind. How much, from where you were standing when you saw this disc, how big would you describe the disc? And by that I mean, we all know how big a full moon looks up in the sky, right? We know how big certain things look. So how big was it to you?
It appeared to be about 200 feet in diameter.
Filling up how much of the sky?
Oh, it was huge, because it was only 100 yards away from us. It was just over across the street in the field, and the full moon had it just illuminated, and like I said, it had this haze around it. Oh, and one thing, when it took off, Art, the haze that was surrounding this saucer stayed in the shape of a smoke ring. It was like a haze ring, but it was a billowing. It was just kept rolling and rolling and rolling.
That also makes sense, though. I can see it just blasted up through it, so it would have left like a smoke ring.
Yeah, and in the morning when I got up, which was, real early because I was still excited about seeing this thing, I look out the window and I'm looking. I know I'm not going to see it, but I'm looking for any kind of trace. And, man, that smoke ring was still there, about maybe 10 times larger than it was when it started, but still rolling.
Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
I'm calling to speak with Art Bell.
That would be me.
How are you, sir?
Quite well. And what is your...
I'd like to extend a Happy New Year to you, and my name is Pat, and I'm calling from New York City.
All right, Pat.
I'm listening to you from WABC 77.
Of course.
And I'd like to share an experience. Maybe your listeners might have some sort of an answer for me. I had an encounter August 18th.
Pat, you're going to have to speak up good and loud for me, okay?
And,
Pat?
Yes?
Speak up good and loud, because you're real soft.
Sorry.
That's all right. Just do
I had an experience August 18th, 1988. I was going to get some cough medicine for my child at about 10 o'clock at night. I discovered that I didn't have any more, and he had a cold. I had gone downstairs, and I went outside, and I noticed that there was a mist. Well, for some reason or another, while observing the mist, I happened to look up and I saw something that is, to this day, the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my life.
This is in the middle of New York City, Pat?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I attempted to walk across the street. Now, I live in an area where there's a 4-lane area, traffic going in 4 different directions.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I was so enamored by what I was looking at, I attempted to cross the street, and I felt a car go past me very quickly. At that point, I attempted to walk across, and I'm still looking at this thing, and what I see is a huge craft, but it was shaped sort of like black diamonds, because this is in the evening, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm so enamored with it, and I attempt to turn around to say to someone, "Do you see this?" And what I noticed was there was no people on the street, no more traffic, and I was just stunned. But I was just so enamored by what I was looking at one point I started to wish that someone else could see it. But as far as I could...
Pat, I want you to hold on, all right?
Sure.
Pat, welcome back.
Hi.
Hi.
Anyway, I'm going to pick it up from where we were. I remember wishing that someone else could see what I was seeing.
Of course.
There. And at one point, I became a little nervous because I couldn't understand why I couldn't see any people and I didn't see any cars. We're talking about a 4-lane traffic flow that just instantaneously disappeared. I remember at one point looking across the street, and there was one gentleman standing there. I ran across the street to this gentleman, and I said to him, "Do you see this? Do you see this?" And he was very calm. He said to me, "Do you see it?" He said, "Do you like what you see?" And I said, "It's beautiful." I said, "What is it?" He said, "Well, maybe it's your moon." And I looked at him and I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "There is no moon that comes down so low that it hovers over the top of a building." I said, "Surely." He says, "Well, maybe where we come from." And I looked at him. And he reached over and he touched my right hand. And he said to me, "If it feels good to you, go with it." And I remember looking at him and I was thinking, wait a minute, this guy is a little strange. And I noticed that his features were very, very sharp. His skin was almost pale, sort of with a silvery overtone. And I said to him, "Guy, you've got to be kidding me." I said, "You mean to tell me you think this is a moon?" I said, "I don't know where you're coming from with this." I said, "But somebody else has got to see this." I shot across the street and I ran into a little store there because I remember I had come out to get some cough medicine for my child.
Yes.
And I run into the store and I'm frantic and I'm trying to get somebody to come outside with me just so that they could look up and see this that I'm looking at.
And let me guess, they wouldn't.
Actually, they were trying to contain me. I guess I was so excited. I guess I was so excited by this that they were immediately just trying to get me to calm down.
Well, this is pretty unusual because most of these things, occur in the deserts of Nevada and the empty wheat fields of Kansas. But, I mean, here you are in the middle of New York City, for goodness sake.
Absolutely. This is why to this day, I don't really quite understand, I tell you from the depth of my being that this is something that I experienced. I don't know what to make of it.
I believe you.
But it stays with me forever from that point. And what I did was I said to the guy behind the counter, "Please, just come with me outside. Just come with me outside and look up." And he said, "First, I just want you to calm down." He said, "What is it that has you so excited?" I said, "Please, if you just come out with me, you'll see." Well, when I finally got this gentleman to come outside with me, lo and behold, Art, there was traffic, there was people.
The world was back.
Everything was back. I just was absolutely flushed with embarrassment. So much so that I forgot to get the cough medicine. I go back home, and my child says to me, "Where have you been?"
Yes, well.
And I said, "Well, I was only gone for a few minutes." He said, "No, you've been gone for 3 hours.
Oh, my God.
Ask me what happened. I don't know. Maybe you guys can sort of enlighten me. Maybe someone has had a similar experience. I just know for myself that I will never forget that.
Well, if you want another big experience, I have a suggestion for you.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't afraid. I mean,
well, I'm talking about an experience. No, one that's going to help you out with this. Now, listen to me. What I want you to do is consider going to somebody for regressive hypnosis. You can recover those 3 hours. You may not want to know, but if you do want to know, it's possible.
Ooh, I don't know if I have that kind of heart. I really don't. I mean, I wasn't afraid at the time that I was experiencing it. Actually, again, it was the closest thing that I could explain what it looked like. Have you ever seen black, shiny rock with sparkles in it?
I guess I have.
Well, it was very similar to that, but you have to understand that it covered, I'm not good with numbers or width or depth or anything of that sort, but it covered 4 lanes of traffic and over both sides of buildings on the opposite side of the street. That's how huge this thing was. And it was just so beautiful till I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And it seemed the more that I looked at it, the more that it appeared to come down so that I could look at it closer. And I was trying to rationalize in my mind that, okay, well, maybe it's a blimp. Maybe it's something from the stadium, because this is, it occurred where we have the courthouses in the Bronx.
Yes.
So to me, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what it is. But there was no game going on.
Yeah, that's what the human mind tries to do. It tries to make sense of what it sees, even if it's impossible. No, I sure do appreciate your call. It's right in line with what we've been getting this morning, these calls after calls after calls, from people who are obviously telling the truth. That lady was obviously telling the truth. That's all there is to it. Now, you don't frequently get stories like that, not from the middle of the Bronx in New York, no. But she sounded totally lucid to me, and I absolutely think she believes what she just told us. I believe it. So it's up to you out there of what to make of it, I guess. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
How are you doing this evening, Art?
Quite well, sir.
Blessing to you and Happy New Year to you and your wife, Ramona.
Thank you. Same to you.
Mine is also about alien contact.
Oh.
But it's more extensive than your previous callers because I've had these contacts since I was 5 years old. I'm now 59. Raised and born in Los Angeles. I have a top-secret clearance with the U.S. government through the Army in the field of cryptography, which I acquired in 68 through 70. And I spent my tour of duty in South Korea with the 7th Division in Camp Casey, and that's where I was informed by a lieutenant colonel that the U.S. government has knowledge of these contacts because I was told that I had a red file on myself.
All right, let's slow down.
Okay.
Who informed you that the U.S. government had official contact?
There was a lieutenant colonel that was active in the 7th Division during the period of 69-70 when I was on tour there.
Under what circumstances would he tell you something like that? I mean,
well, there was a situation that was going on at that time in South Korea that many of the Americans that were at Camp David was aware of. There was high racial tension at that particular time because of what was happening in the United States.
Right.
And I was involved with a particular group of people that was involved in various investigations. Okay. Long story short was that this gentleman who had contacted me very secretly had informed me that there were individuals on the base at the time that felt that my knowledge of certain things was injurious to them and that I was in danger. He informed me that the U.S. government was not going to allow anything to happen to me because I had a red file on me. That's the first time that I ever had access to that kind of information. What he did to confirm and verify that he was valid, there were things that he told me in a 2-hour secret meeting that occurred within the livelihoods and the life of my family members that only could have been known by just family members. It's almost as if there was a taping device in the house or on the phone.
They knew things.
Oh,
yeah,
very, very, very.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time, so you got to get to the bottom line.
Now, what transpired after that is that he informed me that they knew that I had had contacts for a very long time in my life. Now, I'm going to go beyond that. I'm just giving you information to verify that you're talking to someone who's actually had it. I ran for mayor of Gardena in Los Angeles in 2001, and people can look on the internet
find out who you are by that means. Okay, so
exactly. Okay, so now what I want to tell you is this: is that I've had contact with several different species, energy forms, humanoid forms, bipedals that are not human-looking.
Okay, if you've had all this contact, then I ask you the standard questions. Do you have any idea what their motives are?
I do.
Why they're... Okay, good. Go ahead. I want to know. What?
Okay, number one is that 99.9% of those that are now visiting the Earth are not hostile. They are here because the Earth is in a great, difficult time. The shield of the Earth is starting to disintegrate. They're in the process of trying to rejuvenate that. But beyond that, these species have told me that mankind is about to annihilate itself in nuclear war, that biogenetic experimentation has been initiated so that there would be a preservation of the human consciousness and the gene.
Oh, my God.
Mixed with alien life forms that would exist elsewhere.
So, in other words, we're about to blow ourselves to smithereens. They're taking samples of us to ensure that some humanity is...
That's correct.
Saved, like so many endangered species.
That's correct.
Oh, my God.
And everybody makes the joke about the little green men that come from Mars.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they exist, but they don't come from Mars. They're about 3 feet tall.
Uh-huh.
I am not the only one on the planet. As a matter of fact, there are many of your listeners that will call in and verify this, that they are one of the major entities at the moment initiating biogenetic experimentation, and I was shown a female hybrid human mixed with their particular alien DNA. This female was about 13 or 14 years old. She was about 4 feet high. She had the power of levitation. She had pure white hair. That made it strange. Green epidermis, pure white hair, pure white teeth, but she had the physiognomy of one of my daughters. And very, very beautiful, highly intelligent, and very telepathic. Mankind is being visited by our brothers and sisters that want to help us. Also, what I need to tell you, which is very dire. I was shown in this craft with these smaller green entities a very large screen. It looked like a movie screen. I was shown Los Angeles, New York, and Washington being struck by nuclear weapons. I also was shown an asteroid that was going to hit the Earth. It was going to come across the United States at nighttime from east to west. A large portion falls off somewhere near Wyoming, and the largest portion falls off just east of the Big Island of Hawaii, which will cause a tidal wave at night several miles high, striking and destroying the San Francisco Bay Area. And all that was left, is when the water receded, was the northern portion of the Golden Gate Bridge.
God.
Yeah.
You've given us an awful lot to chew on.
I was also to tell you this. You are, this year, 2005, you and your wife, there's this evolvement that you have made in the last few years. You are now spiritually on the level for contact.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Art. I don't know where to begin other than
at the beginning, sir.
Pardon?
At the beginning.
Okay. I live in San Francisco and in the inner city, and it drives me crazy. And to get away from it all and to meditate, I like to go at the beach at night and look at the stars.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks ago on a Saturday night, I went. It was just turning dusk. And I have a certain method of signaling. I says, I'm going to make contact somehow tonight. I don't know how.
Wait a minute. You're out there trying to contact extraterrestrials?
Right. And I have my own unique method. I am not going to reveal to coast land because I don't want your vast audience to be aping my own special way of getting in touch with the space brethren.
Well, darn.
Okay, so the first night I used my signaling method. Overhead came, just as dusk came, a huge circular craft, massive in size, hovered silently above my head for about 3 minutes, then moved land-bound. So I stayed on the beach, kept signaling, nothing. As darkness fell, a very strange thing. I'm flashing my light on the shoreline. I saw...
you just told us. So it's a flashing light you're using.
God, am I stupid. God, I just ruined it for
that's
myself.
not new. I mean, look, there are a number of, organizations that try to make contact using a flashing light. Dr. Greer's organization, for example. So it's no big deal.
The cat's out of the bag, at any rate.
All right.
So I'm flashing my light on the beach. I see a penguin, an Arctic penguin in San Francisco. I thought it was a shorebird with a broken wing. I look at it, it's a penguin. It swims out to the water like a penguin does and does its penguin thing. I said, wow. Okay, so that's two very strange anomalies in one night.
Why would you imagine an Arctic penguin would be there?
I've talked to friends. They said maybe it escaped from the zoo, maybe it's Earth changes, like that guy wrote about, what was it called? That coming global superstorm. You know that guy with the other guy?
That guy with the other guy, yeah. Sure.
Right. At any rate.
Yep.
So I come home and try to digest because I wasn't sleeping well. I go down to the beach to get the salt air to relax, you know.
Yes.
So I figure I'll try to get a couple hours sleep, come back the next night. Next night, okay, beautiful, go down there at dusk, beautiful sunset on the beach. Start my signaling process.
I hope, by the way, you were using a Sea Crane LED light.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to pay $80 for a flashlight. At any rate, no, it's they have great products. I just am on a budget.
All right, so here you are. Signaling
so here
again.
I am on the beach, okay? Very busy beach day on a Sunday. Everybody's there. I says, well, you know, I got to get far and away from people if I'm going to make contact.
Right.
Maybe they'll take me away to a better world. Who knows? Because I knew there was something benevolent about a circle. You know, life is a circle. Circular shaped craft. This has got to be good. So I'm signaling. 5 minutes. There it is. Okay.
What? What is?
I see the pattern of lights. Okay.
Okay.
It's circular.
Yes.
All right. Now, don't ask me how, but I know I'm in telepathic contact. And ever since this has happened, I've had,
all right, well, it's very important to understand. Hold it, sir. What did they tell you if you were in contact? What
did they tell me?
That's right.
Well, I had to make it down to the beach, way, way far away, about 4 miles towards Pacifica Daly City, to get far away from people. So I'm walking, exhausted. I took a nap, right? As there were 3 crafts, following me, and I knew I was going to make contact. So, I just wait.
In the interest of time, try and answer my question. What did they tell you?
Okay. All right. I'll cut right to the chase.
Good.
When I woke up, came back, they were there, fires, signaling. Okay. They were speaking in a language that I didn't know, but I understood.
All right, fine.
Which was come with us, come along with us, be with us.
Yeah.
And I was very, very, very scared.
Why? I mean, this is what you wanted.
Because I fully saw their craft. It was huge, triangular, red, glowing like the sun. 3.
But you went down there for this reason. You wanted contact, so now you got it. Now you're scared.
This was not the being I saw. This was not the ship that I saw the night before. This was triangular. The night before it was circular. You understand? Okay. Now a triangle. That means yield. A circle is life. I firmly know and believe this, that we are being visited by multitudes of races. They are very interested in the goings on of Earth.
So why
some are good, some are bad.
Why didn't you go?
Why didn't I go?
Yes.
Because I got the impression that these beings were not benevolent at all. That they were malignant, and that they wanted to use me for some kind of like what Whitley went through, or some kind of island of Dr. Moreau type of a human experimental animal thing, or God knows what else.
Oh,
and,
sure.
You
felt you would have been probably you felt you might have been cut up, mutilated, and otherwise spindled.
Exactly. But I know deep in my heart that there are good benevolent races out there which I will make contact with, which I will go with. But
well, the truth of the matter, sir, is when you flash that flashlight, you don't know what's going to come.
No, but I know how to identify them, and I know I have perception and intuition.
So you think that the guys in the triangular craft are not our friends?
Guys and gals.
Well, okay,
guys and gals.
And the ones.
Make that clear, because
the ones
final contact was with a woman.
Wait a minute. Oh, really?
Yes, really.
A woman?
She was very Zoftic, shapely, like a bombshell figure. It was at night, but I could make out her figure, and she was wearing a gown like a Stevie Nicks kind of robe-ish gown. Huh. She had dark hair, long hair, but I could not see her face, and she was flashing a light like what was on the ship.
So you somehow have even resisted the Stevie Nicks of extraterrestrials and walked away from it, right?
All right. I was running along silently on the beach because I knew that I did not want to embark on this. And all they heard were my keys dangling.
Well,
I had the flashlight.
How do I know you weren't chasing Stevie?
Pardon?
How do I know you weren't chasing Stevie down the beach?
It wasn't Stevie that was on my mind. It was a different woman who, from way back when, I've been carrying the torch for, who fits that description.
Well, listen, I'm afraid this torch has got to go out.
Wildcard line, Joe in Houston. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the disclosure. Back in the mid-'70s, I was assigned as a squadron commander in the MAGIC program. And as such, I felt that it was important that I read through the regulations that pertain to the area that I was involved in. And the first manual that I read was called Air Force Manual 1-1. Okay, so you start at the beginning. And then you find out that there's a classified section that's not normally available. And in the classified section of Air Force Manual 1-1 is a complete checklist of how you deal with extraterrestrial biological entities.
Well, let's back up for a second. You were a squadron commander in the Air Force, but you say you worked for MAGIC?
Well, I was a squadron commander in the Air Force, but yet I was dealing with programs that were not necessarily Air Force programs.
So how did you know you worked for MAGIC? Did you have a badge? Did you get read into a program? Or
I had to sign all the secrecy agreements. I had to go through secret, well above secret security procedures. I had to waive all my constitutional rights.
Well, why are you confident speaking about it now, then?
I'm old. What are they going to do to me?
Huh.
You know, there's nothing they're going to do to me.
Anyway, we can verify what you're saying, Joe, now.
Well, as a matter of fact, I signed a hand receipt for one of the pieces of equipment that flew around, and on the bottom of it was the bill for it was $4.3 billion. That's what it was worth back in those days. I don't have any idea what it's worth today. After I signed in at my station where I was assigned, I had 2 secret supply accounts, and the base CIA rep called and said, I see you've signed into your accounts. I need to talk to you. And so I went down and talked to him in his office, and he explained, if you can't get the money that you need for the things that you're doing to buy the equipment that you need, give me a call, and I'll have the money in one of your accounts the next morning. And I said, is there any limit on how much I can get? And the answer was technically no.
I'll go back to my question. How do we know that you're telling us a story that we can verify? I mean, is there anybody else that you worked with, that you stayed in contact with? Is there any documentation you have that says you worked for Magic instead of the Air Force? Not saying we don't believe you. You know, just that kind of question comes with the territory.
I don't want them to come shoot me tomorrow.
Okay.
I can give you names if you want to have your screener get my number and whatever. I can give you names off the air, et cetera. That's not any big issue.
Okay.
So anyway, I was talking with this CIA representative, and he said, no, there's no limit to the amount. There's technically no limit that's placed on the amount that you can get in each of your accounts per day. But he said, realistically, probably not more than about $125 million per day per account.
Per day?
Per day.
What was the
George,
piece of
I just don't know what
equipment?
to make of any of this.
Yeah. What was the piece of equipment, Joe?
I'd rather not talk about it.
All right, I'll tell you what. Why don't we get Gina to write down your contact info, and I'll get a hold of you, and we'll take it from there. Oh, okay. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Hey, hello there, Art. It's been a long time I've been listening to you. You probably gave me some of the happiest moments of my life while I was driving my truck.
Good. It certainly whiles away the miles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. I remember the night you glued your lips together. Oh, my goodness. About fell out the window.
Don't remind me.
I got a little story to tell you. I got a house there in Camotes, Philippines. It's outside of Cebu City, about 40 miles out in the water. And I went there I live in Indiana, but I had to go there for a business trip. And while I was there, the typhoon come rolling through. This was in October. So I stayed at my house, 4 or 5 days of nothing but rain. And I had brought with me 4 telescopes. And because with no street lights there, it's beautiful. No.
Well, it is, but there's an awful lot of humidity here. That's the other factor that somewhat limits the night sky. The humidity here is always in the 90s, very close to 100%.
Right. Well, you'll have to come down and check out the island there. It's a lot better. The humidity isn't as bad down there once you get away from the other side of the island there.
I see.
And but I was going to tell you about my. So I'm stuck there at the house in the rain and the typhoon. You know how that is. And about 1:30 in the morning, everything was quiet. So I jumped out of bed and I said, I'm going to look outside, see if I can see some stars. And lo and behold, there were 3 small UFOs and 1 large UFO out over the water.
Why would you have an expectation to have a good star viewing situation while it's raining and a typhoon is around?
Well, it got quiet. I'd been reading my book, and so this is like 1:30 in the morning. So I done reading the book, and I figure I'm going to look out there and see if the clouds had cleared up because it quit raining.
I see.
And it had cleared up, and but to my amazement, 3 of these small UFOs were playing tag out there over the water. It was just amazing. So I'm hollering for my wife to bring me my glasses so I can see better. And all she's worried about is getting me my pants because I'm standing on the front porch hollering about these UFOs.
Yes. Yes, well, I'd want my glasses first, too, provided I wasn't here in Manila. Now, I suppose on an island off Cebu, you can do that, but it wouldn't be advised here in Manila.
Right. So we got to watch them for about 20 minutes. The big orange one, though, once we were standing there watching them for about 5 minutes, the big orange one moved down and kind of hid itself through the trees, hid behind the trees.
Oh, so it actually virtually landed almost.
Yes, I'd say maybe it was 50, 100 foot off the
And
the
how
ground.
long ago was all of this?
October this year.
You told me. That's right. So what did they eventually do? Just all take off, or was there some encounter beyond that?
Well, no other encounter. They played out there for about 20 minutes. The three little ones, they'd go to come into one, and then they'd split off, and they do their 90-degree angle turns and shooting around out there. And the big one, he just sat out there, didn't do anything but sit. And so I went through the rest of the house trying to get everybody else that they lived on the island there. I tried to get them to get up and see these UFOs. Nobody even get out of bed because they said it happens all the time. The fishermen see that all the time, so they weren't even interested in getting up and seeing it.
Isn't that something?
So while I'm trying to... Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. So eventually what happened?
Well, eventually they flew away.
They flew away. Okay, well, there you've got it. That's a report from here in the Philippines. Here in Manila, because, of course, it's a very large city. I think we're a city of 11 million, 15 million. I don't know, a lot of people here. The air is, as you would imagine, in a city for the most part, and there's a great deal of humidity, so rarely do you get to see but one or two stars and, of course, the moon. Now, when you get out of the city, you get into the mountainous areas here in the Philippines or down, for example, into the area off Cebu, as he mentioned, you might have very clear skies, save the humidity factor. They're everywhere, aren't they?